Have no mistake. I preach for 2 years now. I say it, I literally yell it on the street near the embassies, in the Yarkon Street, and all around Tel Aviv and the cities in the center of Israel, and not only in the center, all over Israel, specifically in the vicinity of Tel Aviv. I yell, I say it again and again and again. I will not be rescued by movements of mouths and tongues, only by the movement of arms and legs. And the reason that I say it for so long and in such a consistent manner is not because I lack the emotional intelligence or the sophistication or the diplomatic acuity or the deep understanding of international relationship that you, the intelligence services of the West, possess. No, it's not the reason. The reason I say it is because it is true. And your insistence of doing things your way stems from your ego. You will not get advice from the foreigner, from the stranger, from the boy, from the kid. You, no matter how many things it shows you, no matter that it shows you how Israel is a Nazi state and how you are cooperating with the Nazi state, no matter that it shows you that there is a force majeure, a tremendous force, God, or call him by any other name, that is watching and is going to annihilate you, no matter you continuously stick to your position, which is, we will teach you what to do. Don't worry, just do whatever we teach you. We now teach you to fly to whatever, I don't know where, and then will you be tourist, and then it will be like I didn't have any weight that bars me from physically from getting outside of Israel before they framed me for a crime that they did not commit at the beginning of late December or early January this year. The fact that I didn't do it like for years now is not that I couldn't have done it. I have nothing here besides my daughters, and this is a big point. I can't leave my daughters, and I cannot fly from Israel and keep my daughters behind me and trust anonymous sources that it will be okay. Sources that don't even want to give any kind of guarantee because they know better. Because they have ego and they have experience. Because you know so much more than us. I mean, can you comprehend? Many times, it wasn't always like that, but since the beginning of the 2nd century AD, it was very common in all the major religions, all the branches of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, to accept a very transcendental understanding of God. And part of it, I spoke about it in the past and wrote about Thomas Aquinas, about Al-Farabi, about Maimonides or Rambam, and many others. And it was, it got hold of the thinking of people that, God is, of course, omnipotent, and you cannot say anything about God, because, everything that you will say will limit his power, and his power is unlimited. And this approach, ironically, it distances people from God, because they cannot understand how smart God is, because it's just a blank state for them. So stop. Okay. Let go of your monotheistic thought, because right now it's limiting your understanding of reality, and it's going to be the source of your doom. Stop. Okay, so God is not omnipotent. Think about him as an alien. It's an alien. It's just an alien. But this alien is billion times smarter than you. Can you comprehend it? I can tell you personally that I have had spiritual experiences that I almost never speak about it, because I understand my audience, and I know exactly what kind of cynics and skeptics I'm dealing with. So you will almost never find any of my recording, and I have thousands by now, which I speak about my directly about my spiritual experiences, because I said that it's not going to convince anyone. So I speak about religion and God in the most rational way possible. But I can tell you that when you taste just a little bit of the wisdom of God, just I mean 1 billions or millions of or millions of a billions of shred of this how God smart, how smart he is, you understand why he does not reveal himself to people almost never, because this kind of revelation, I mean, it takes any kind of human and create a worm out of him, like a worm, a gray worm. And you need to be really a person that is that is really, I mean, I wouldn't say devoid of ego, but with you need to be a low ego person in order to survive this kind of experience, because any like human with, I mean, this is like the ego controls him or her, which is, I mean, everyone in Israel, for example, will be crushed by this experience. And it takes time to actually go back to life, to come back to life, and to find, I mean, the will, motivation to continue to pursue, like, not only to pursue your mission as a servant of the Lord, but also to pursue mundane affairs, because all prophets had mundane aspects to their life. They had families, I mean, many of them, and professions. They need, I mean, they didn't get government subsidiaries. So you need to go back to work, you need to do things, and you need to cook food and whatever, and grow, I mean, raise your children. And it's extremely difficult. After you were exposed for a second to how smart God is, you understand, I mean, the feeling of like, the feeling that everything is, that, I mean, that you are just a worm, a little worm. You see such an amazing things, and you understand that all the wisdom of man is, it doesn't, I mean, you understand that in the eyes of God there is no difference at all between the people that live right now and the people that live during the time of the Old Testament. You can think of them as like completely different people. From his point of view, I mean, yeah, I mean, 3,000 years passed, so I mean, it's like a blink of an eye. Not, I mean, and people didn't change at all, at all. At all. 3,000 years are nothing. And even 100,000 years, the scope of the Homo sapiens, so-called Homo sapiens sapiens, is nothing in the eyes of God. You need to lose for a second the monotheistic thought of God in transcendent being that I mean you cannot know anything about him, and you need to accept, like, to actually know something about God, to know that he has characteristics like it was plainly written in the Bible. כפיים ורב חסד, נושא אמת So it's not new. But you need to actually accept it, that yes, God exists in this world, He created this world, and He cannot reveal Himself because for most people the revelation will be an experience that they cannot recover from it. They will lost their will to live and their force of life, their vitality. It's difficult to after such an experience to again, I mean, to wake, I mean, to get out of bed and then just I mean, to remaster your human, like, I mean, behaviors that you're used to them, but you lose all of it at once. You do not, I mean, you just, I mean, you tasted just one small spoon of the ocean of wisdom, and you understand. And many of the questions, I mean, philosophical questions that, I mean, bothered you until now becomes like, I mean, they lose all their, I mean, the weight, because you understand that these questions, I mean, they all, I mean, all of them are like, or many of the questions are, I mean, the only thing that we suppose, I mean, they stand, they don't know, but they all stand on one pillar, which is the limitation of the true power of God. Because even if people that believe in God actually articulated those questions, and many times it's actually the fact. They believed in impotent version of God. They say that God is impotent, is omnipotent, but they really imagine him as impotent. They do not understand. They never really understand their own religion. You do not understand how smart this I mean, if it helps you again, call him an alien. Think about him as just another species. But it's a species that that literally exists before there was light. Fiat luz, let there be light. Vayehi or. This is a reality. It happened. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, just like that. Let there be light. And moreover, it was not the only entity that existed before light. As I said many times, my own race existed before there was light. Yes. Literally so, before light. Yes. And no, if you really want, if you're really interested in details, but they don't matter at all. So no, light was not created, immediately with the Big Bang. It's just not true. Can you imagine entities that existed before there was light? Not to mention planets. Not to mention even stars. And you still think that you have, not Israeli people, which are, they are alligators in the form of humans. I speak about the British, the French, the Americans. You, you really think that, you possess some kind of like emotional intelligence or, I don't know, diplomatic acuity or diplomatic skills that place you in, you are, you don't want to know what exactly are you compared to God because it will debilitate you. You need your powers you need your ego to somehow, lead the world. In the trashy way that you do it since forever. But, some kind of leadership is needed. And there will be no leadership if you will be exposed to, a percent of a percent of a percent of the wisdom of God. No, I will not be a tourist in Hong Kong. No, I'll be a tourist in London. I could have done that years ago. And moreover, I could have actually become rich there, even without the knowledge that you now have regarding, my nature. Even just, as a male titan, as a curiosity, even if you thought that I was not actually a male titan, but as many people thought that I'm actually a female titan that went through a sex change to male, which is, none of it is even remotely true. But even if it was true, or even if people thought that it was true and I had no way to convince them otherwise, even under that kind of stupid, and untruthful identity, I could have done millions by selling my arts abroad. And I knew it long ago. I am here because not without my daughters, to paraphrase the famous, film, not without my daughters. And my daughters will not be freed without their mother, which makes sense. The mother is a slave to the Israeli Shabak. And the Shabak will not release their slaves without foreign intervention. And intervention is not a movement of mouths and tongues, it's a movement of arms and legs. Your refusal to move arms and legs steps from your ego. You know better. And this will be your doom. Because you are losing patience. And I'll now answer a very stupid question, but I know that people asked it in the past, and there are several people, even, high rank, that ask this stupid question, but idiotic question. So I will just answer this idiotic question because I know that people ask it, but they shouldn't. So the question is, okay, so if God is so smart and powerful, why can't he just get you and you and your daughters or whatever, your ex-wife or your mother or whatever, and just put you in China, Hong Kong, or London or whatever? Why does it need us? So I will answer because maybe it will help someone. Stupid as he is. Wake up. We want to live. We don't want to be held as prisoners like we have all our lives. We want a place to live, like to be alive, to be able to speak, to have freedom of speech, to be able to have privacy, to be able to have a romantic relationship like human beings, to be able to raise our daughters without the constant fear that the government will take them from us. It will not be possible in any place, even if we were to be magically teleported there, because we will be fugitives. We need people to take us under their umbrella as citizens. And this cannot be done without confrontation with the state of Israel. You cannot, I mean, circle the square or circle the triangle. Yes, I mean, the government of Israel wants us to be slaves. And the only way for us to be citizens, not in Israel, but in other place, is if that place will confront Israel. And it's a price that you need to pay to say no, I mean, and to know that you will be in confrontation with Israel. Someone needs to be in confrontation with Israel in order for us to live like citizens. And if no one is willing to confront Israel on the matter, teleport will not help us. We'll just be prisoners or fugitives in another place. The clock is ticking. I don't know what more do you want to see. I don't know what will convince anyone of you. I mean, not the Israelis, because it's impossible to change them. But you, all the rest should choose between life and ego. Do you choose life or do you choose ego? Israelis, they chose ego and they reaffirm their choice again and again. They said again and again, I mean, our life means nothing to us. The life of our children means nothing to us compared to our ego. Our ego is, I mean, immeasurably more important. But, I mean, maybe, perhaps there is another nation on this planet that will choose otherwise. That will say, okay, we had enough of this ego. Maybe we live, maybe us and our children will live. Maybe we will put, the ego on hold for a moment and just do the right thing. And maybe the right thing is actually very, very simple and does not require like major military force or technology, but it certainly requires movement of arms and legs. No movement of tongues and mouths can change the situation. It can only make it worse from me and my daughter's point of view.